Hi, everyone, and welcome. We're your hosts. I am Justin.
And I'm Challie.
This podcast is a space where we explore practical ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit to create a happier and healthier life.
The content of this podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listening to this podcast does not establish a therapist-client relationship. If you are experiencing emotional distress or mental health concerns, please seek support from a licensed therapist or a qualified healthcare provider. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about what I had to do in order to become a licensed therapist in the state of New York, which is very exciting because Justin is currently in the process and we took the same path. So this will be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's see. I said in the previous episode that I had my bachelor's degree in sociology. So you need to have a bachelor's degree of some sort. And then you need to pick a school for your graduate degree. So you need a master's degree. So I went to the University of New England, which is out of Maine. My program was mostly all online, except for the internship was in person, but all of the classes were totally online. And then, I think it took me 2 years. But okay. I doubled up on a lot of classes because I was lucky enough that I could work part-time. So I worked part-time and I doubled up on classes. So I got done in about 2 years.
Can you remind me what your bachelor's degree was in? Was it in social work specifically?
No.
Oh, okay.
So that's like my one little regret, not really, but is if I had known I was going to go on further and get my MSW, which is your master's of social work, I would have gotten my bachelor's in social work. But at the time, I was like 20 when I went for my bachelor's degree. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I just picked the funnest major. Knowing what I know now, I definitely would have gotten a bachelor's in social work.
Okay.
Because then you do an internship in your bachelor year and you do an internship you only have to do one in your master's year, and you can fast track your master's. Whereas it would only take you half as long.
So did you have any counseling or therapy experience going into your social work degree, or was that part kind of new? Because I know for me, that part was completely new from my bachelor's degree to going for my master's, the actual individual therapy piece of it.
Yeah, I had unofficial. I facilitated the support groups for caregivers with dementia, so that's a little bit of experience.
Okay.
But other than that, no, not really. So I was going in pretty blind.
Yeah.
So that took about 2 years because I doubled up on my classes. I had to do, because I had my bachelor's in sociology and that did not require an internship, I had to do 2 during my graduate degree. So the first internship that you do is a general internship, and that's, tell me if I'm wrong, 400 hours?
400, right? 450, depends on which school they break it up.
I want to say mine was 400. And then the clinical internship or the specialized internship was 500. So you need a total of 900 internship hours. I can't speak for everyone, but from my personal experience, most, if not all, are unpaid. Mine was completely unpaid. I did not have a paid internship. So 900 hours that you have to complete. I did mine at a veterans center. Cool. So I wanted to get...
Was that your specialization or the general one?
Both. So I
really?
Yes. So I was able to do both. For my general year, I did case management.
Okay.
And then for my specialization, I did actual therapy sessions. So
did you do groups with veterans or just the individual therapy piece?
Hold on, let me think. I don't think I did groups.
Okay.
No, did just individual, but that was a good experience. It was very enlightening. So that was what I had to do. So then you go through all of this and you graduate and you have your cool degree, and then you have to take your licensure exam, which is, you're already nervous about it.
I know. I've been nervous about it. from starting school, I was like, I have to sit for this exam at the end.
I can't remember. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I want to say it's like, I know it's 4 hours, but I can't remember how many questions it is. I'm drawing a blank.
Probably a lot.
I want to say it's like 180.
Okay.
I don't know, but you have 4 hours to do it. I was very nervous. Here, I'll explain this for you because you're going to need it.
Yep.
You graduate, you get your diploma, and then you have to apply to test. So your school has to send your transcripts, and then you have to do like the actual application. Then you'll get an email that says, hey, congrats, you can now sit for the test. And then you click the link to schedule it. When I did that, I had the option of scheduling a test a month out
Okay.
or the following day.
My goodness.
Yeah. So I was like, I can't wait a month. Like I can't. Like I am a therapist with anxiety, okay? Like I will work myself
normalizing it
into I just knew like I can't schedule a month of it in advance.
Okay.
And I had already been studying a little bit.
Is that how it normally is, or was that just kind of the luck of
That was
what
the
was available?
luck of the draw.
Okay.
So I had been studying a little bit ahead of time. And so I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. I'm going to do it the next day, but I'm going to go into it thinking this is just my trial. So if I fail, it's totally fine because this is going to prepare me for the next one that I'm going to pass. So I went in there like, all right, I'm going to try my best, but I'm not going to be upset if I don't pass because it's a difficult test. But I passed. So yay. And it's different for everybody depending on which test you get. So everybody gets a different test. And then you don't know how many you have to get right until you're all done with the test. And they print you out the little thing. And I think for mine, it said you have to have 98 correct. And I had like 117. So killed it. But you don't know. So you can't go in thinking like, okay, I need 98 because some require other things.
Unrelated, but like similar in like the testing piece, when I had gone for my KSEC exam, it was X amount of questions, whatever it was, like 2 hours. And I remember being in there, I was like halfway through it and I like panicked. I was like, all right, well, I'll do it again. It's not that big of a deal. And I like kind of panicked in the middle of it thinking that I didn't get enough right. Did you have any of that? Like taking it?
Interesting. Yes. Okay. So probably not half. I'm going to say like 3/4 of the way in. Every question started to seem like it was the same question over and over again. And I got the same attitude where I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this. Cause I was like, cause you can highlight things on the computer. I was like, and it was just like, didn't they just ask me this question? Like, I swear I just answered this question. And then I'd go to the next one and I'd be like, I know I answered this one too. Like, my mind is playing tricks on me. So yes, I finally at one point was just like, I'm not second guessing anything. I'm going with the first answer that jumps out to me and I'm just doing it from there. But a lot of it is situational. It'll say like, in this situation, according to the code of ethics, should you do first or something like that. So it's all very like situational.
It's like the practice piece of it, like where it's the best answer, not the only right answer. So that it messes with your brain a little bit, especially when you said 170 questions. I mean, I feel like any of them would get repetitive at that point, answering that many.
Yeah. You can only ask the same social work questions in different ways. But yes, so I passed that and then that was it. And then I got my cool license in the mail and yep, here we are.
So how long did it take from you finishing school to then getting into actually working in this?
Good question. Okay, well, I graduated December 31st and I was licensed by the end of January.
Wow.
So it was a pretty quick process. And then I also had my school social work cert was still pending because New York State likes to take a little while. But as soon as I got that license, I started applying. Now, I didn't need the license. I didn't need the LMSW to work at the school right away because you start off as like a provisional school social worker, but you do eventually need it. But I had it, so I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I started applying I applied to like 3 different schools that had openings, and one of them called me right back. And like I said previously, I went into the interview. I was so scared. if anyone that interviewed me is watching this, I was so scared. And they knew it because I am so socially awkward that I walked in and there was like 5 or 6 people at like it was like the tables were in a rectangle.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here and then there was like 6 people and I'm just like, hello. And I'm like trying to turtle into my shell.
Right, like trying to shrink down to be like, nobody will notice.
And they were like, don't be nervous. And I'm like,
I
I'm
am.
very nervous, actually, but thank you. And then, yeah, I actually, oh my gosh, I just remembered this. I brought a binder of different, like, school-based therapeutic activities, but like I had never utilized any of them.
You had them. You had
But
them
I
on deck.
had them and I could show them and I could be like, here are some therapeutic like feelings, Candyland, like different things that you could play. Cause I had the whole district, but I was in the elementary school. So it's like, here's some different. So because I always feel like when you go to an interview, bring something.
Yeah.
Bring something. So that was what I brought. And yeah. So I had that interview and then she was like, I remember I think it was the principal. She was like, can you just wait here for a minute? And I'm like, okay. And then I'm just like looking around the room at these people and I'm just like, hello. And then she was like, the superintendent wants to meet with you. And I'm like, okay. And yeah,
Or like,
it was,
as an adult going for an interview, that's like a good thing, but like could have triggered from like being in school. Like, oh my God, what did I do
also
wrong?
like, side note, I got in trouble in school a lot. Honestly, even after I started working there, if I had to go to the principal's office, I was scared out of my mind. Like, it was so funny. Like, you have to go to the principal's office and I'm like, and I would walk in and just be like, I'm sorry. She's like, for what? I'm like, I don't know. I'm in the principal's office though.
It like never meant anything good before.
So yeah, I think I started working in the school right after, I say spring break.
Okay.
Maybe. It was either February break or spring break. But because I remember my first day I was supposed to work was a snow day. And I was like, what do I do? And they're like, you don't go in. And I'm like, okay, cool. It was February break because I remember I wore like ears for Easter because I was that person. So yes, right after February break. Graduated December, licensed in January.
Okay.
Working in the school by March.
Okay.
But it was quick. Like that was really quick. And then I started working at the private practice part-time by that May.
Okay, so that was a pretty quick transition too.
Everything was very quick. Yeah.
Very cool. I know initially you had talked about like previously of not wanting to work with kids, and then you kind of dove full into working with kids, and then now you still work with kids and you work across different populations. What was the draw to go into the private practice?
Good question. I kind of knew that was always what I wanted to do because my goal when I first got into this was to like open my own practice eventually. Yeah, we'll see. So I knew that I wanted to. And also, in order to get your clinical license, you need to be supervised by an LCSW for 3 years, and you have to accumulate 2,000 clinical hours.
Did they not have that at the school?
They did not.
Okay.
They offered to. I was only in the school, I think I left by Halloween. So I was only there 6 months. But they had offered to in the fall. Can't remember. They said they would probably have somebody to supervise me to offer that.
And so that was a challenge that I had run into with that, even in terms of like internship, was finding someone to supervise. It came at a challenge. Not every place has them. Certain specifications do or don't allow depending on the school. And then moving forward to if you had that thought of going into private practice or wanting to get your clinical license moving forward, that's something that you kind of have to account for in that beginning part, because that time starts to tick with, you know, if we get really comfy in a job and then we have none of that clinical supervision, it'd be really easy to stay in that comfort of that job.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, not everyone gets their clinical license, and that's totally fine. Yeah. But I just knew right off the bat that that was going to be my goal. So I didn't want to, I don't want to say waste time, but I didn't want to delay that any further. And also another big piece of why I went from the school and went into private practice full time, full transparency, and I'm sorry if this upsets anyone, was pay.
Yeah.
Because my son's dad and I split up, I think over that summer.
Oh, wow. And so a lot of change then.
A lot of change. Okay. Yep. And it was nerve wracking, like to all of a sudden be a single mom was like,
And you're a planner. Like,
Damn.
you being a planner, that, that throws a curveball.
Met my Excel budget so much. So yeah, I needed more financial stability, and I love the school. I loved that school so much, and I love the kids, and I still think about them. So if any of my kids are listening, I still think about you. Like, I miss you. But I had to be a little selfish and do something for me. And the difference between working in a public school and working in a private practice is such a big difference that because you work in a school, you have a lot of benefits, but to me it didn't equal out.
So I'm gonna kind of, not completely off topic, but I think this is something that within this field, kind of in any realm of like human service, there tends to be this like thought that, well, we have to do it and do it to serve the people, and then we get put on the back burner. Like, it shouldn't be a priority that you're making money. But it has to be. And then at the end of the day, the more comfortable, like, financial security that you're able to gain, the more you can give back and pour back into what you're doing too.
Yeah.
And I think that tends to be something that we miss, or we get in and we're so focused on the work, which is, obviously where there should be a priority. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to take care of yourself, or then that leads to that burnout, which that can be a whole other episode that we'll talk about.
On burnout,
but
for sure.
That happens, and then that takes people out of the field, not forever, but like, that limits the quality of work that they're able to do. That limits the enjoyment they're able to have, so then they're able to pour as much back into the work that they're doing. And this is a field that you have to care about it. There's got to be a love and a passion for it.
Sure.
So was that kind of the opportunity of you being able to put yourself first then, while still being able to be in the field? And
yeah, and the flexibility that comes with it as well. I don't think I don't think I could ever go back, because I am completely in control of my own schedule. And when you have kids, like, that's so helpful.
Yeah.
Because I just schedule. So my entire life revolves around this kid. So I schedule everything around him, but it's so nice. Like, he is at his dad's every Monday and Tuesday. So, those are my heavy days. I see most of my clients on Mondays and Tuesdays. So that way, when my son is with me, I can spend as much time with him. And that is my priority. So
I have to say, that was one of the biggest shifts for me with starting my internship, was being able to see that like level of flexibility. And it doesn't mean that with working from home or having a flexible schedule, actually you're able to make it fit your life more, so that you can show up in those places more authentically and more full, because you're not pouring from an empty cup, because you're trying to do so many different things in X amount of time. You're able to make it work a little bit better. Thinking about the fact of having a child, there's things that come up, and that doesn't always work in a perfect 9 to 5 work schedule.
But, and we talked about this morning, it is so important to have a supervisor who supports that. And I can't tell you how many times. So I've been at this practice for 2.5 years, almost. And I can't tell you how many times I have like dreaded having to say to my supervisor, like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. I have the whole paragraph. Like, I'm so sorry. I had to cancel these sessions because, my son isn't feeling good and I just really need to stay home with him. Every single time, it's like, stop apologizing. She's told me this 5 bajillion times. I'm getting pretty good at it now. But she'll say, like, stop apologizing. Your family 110% always comes first. And she has said this too. I will always back you up. Always. There have been times where I have said to her, like, all right, I'm just going to do this session because like they're already on their way here, and then I'm going to take off. And she has said to me, if you need to cancel because you have a family emergency, even if they're sitting in the waiting room, if you can't give them your best self and you're focused on, this family emergency, it's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay just to have that support. Like, I still 2.5 years later, I'm getting used to it. I still am like, it's a shift when you've worked in a toxic workplace and then you shift to a not toxic workplace that actually cares about you. And it trickles down. Like, it really
That's the
does.
truth.
Because hopefully you have noticed that I have asked you like numerous times, like, are you doing okay? Am I
Mhm.
putting too much on you with leading the sessions? Do you feel like you have enough time to get the notes done that I ask you to do? I'm always very cognizant of that. And that is only, I feel like that's only because it
Yeah.
trickles. And I know that my supervisor has asked me those same questions. And so,
And it makes a big impact. And I mean, speaking from my experience, like it's always been met with compassion and it's been genuine. I think that is something that when in this field, a lot of times there's because obviously there has to be the focus on the client, but in order to be able to provide what the client needs, we also have to be full in
mhm,
that sense. Like it can, you showing up and just making the session, even though your mind is thinking about the family emergency that's going on, you're not showing up the best version of yourself
mhm,
there, and it shows, you
yeah,
know. So I think that's something that it goes so far, and it's not always in just the statements, it's in the actions that
yeah,
come with that, and
for
then
sure.
being able to feel that comfort
Mhm.
that doesn't always exist in places. So that is one thing that would like coming into this field, being on the journey, being able to be selective of who is supervising you or who the team is that you're working with, because it really makes a big difference, not only in yourself and the personal piece of it, but the work that you produce too. What comes out of you is really dependent on the way that you're managing and the way that you're being treated too.
Yeah. I know I see all the memes on like Facebook and TikTok about like work drama and drama with your coworkers and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, can't relate because literally every
What a
single
beautiful thing.
person, I
Yeah.
feel like if I picked up my phone right now and sent out like a group text to the team that was like, "Hey, I'm struggling. I need somebody to talk to." I guarantee you, I would get like inundated with
Yeah.
phone
It'd ring
calls.
off the hook.
Yep, because we just support each other so much. But again, that starts at the top.
And such beautiful work comes
That's the
out of that.
culture that my supervisor has created is,
Hmm.
we are here for one another because at the end of the day, this is a hard job.
Yeah. And this is something that we plan to talk about kind of throughout this is the human aspect of it.
Yeah.
That, you know, being a human at the end of the day and understanding that there are things that we may not do the best in the moment, but being able to learn from them
Mhm.
and being able to show up the best that we can. And that's really important. But there's a lot of factors that layer on top of that of making that possible. All right. So thank you, Charlie, so much for sharing your experience through that and being able to let me ask some questions. Again, if there's any questions that anybody has towards this topic, being able to reach out, whether it be in comments, and be able to let us know what your experience and journey was too with this. If you've had one
Oh,
similar or if you've
yeah.
had one that's been a little bit different, but there's such a benefit in us growing together. So I really appreciate you sharing your experience with that and letting
No
me ask some
problem.
questions. Tune in for our next one, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Bye, guys.
Bye.